Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling a concept that honestly feels a little backwards when you first hear it.
Yeah, a bit counterintuitive.
Totally. It's about stability.
Yeah.
And I want you to just pause for a second and think. When you hear the word stability, what's the image that pops into your head?
I think for most people, it's a rock. It's, a mountain, something that does not move no matter what hits it.
Exactly. Grounded.
Grounded.
We equate stability with being static, standing your ground, being unshakable. But the stack of research and philosophy we're digging into today argues we've got that completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It suggests that true stability, whether it's your mental state, your marriage, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it actually comes from motion.
It's the difference between being rigid and being balanced. I mean, if you're rigid and something hits you, a crisis, a job loss, you break. You're brittle.
Right.
But if you're balanced, you move with it. You absorb it.
So we're basing this conversation on a really fascinating concept called the continuous shift. It's anchored in this philosophy by a guy named Douglas Lee, but the research stack today is, it's wild.
It is a diverse group.
We've got Stoic emperors, modern psychologists, the Dalai Lama, and this is my personal favorite, a stand-up comedian having a near-death experience on ketamine.
All pointing at the same thing, though.
So let's start with that foundation.
Yeah.
Douglas Lee. He has this quote that's kind of our North Star for this whole deep dive.
Right. He says, "From motion, serenity, and stability are obtained by the release of tension through the continuous shifting of weight from one foot to the other."
To move smoothly and evenly is to emerge uniform and strong.
It's martial arts metaphor, really.
All right.
Or dance. Think about a boxer or tennis player. They're never, ever flat-footed.
No.
They're constantly shifting their weight. That's what makes them ready to strike or to dodge.
Okay, I get the physical metaphor. If a linebacker runs at me and I stand still, I'm toast. But applying that to serenity,
Right.
that's the leap. Because usually when I'm shifting my weight constantly, mentally, emotionally, I don't feel serene. I feel frantic.
That's because you're likely reacting, not shifting. And there's a difference. Lee is talking about a controlled transfer of energy.
Okay.
It's not about being scatterbrained. It's about not getting stuck in one position. It's the ability to move between, opposing forces without falling over.
Like what?
Like moving between giving and receiving, or between striving for a goal and then surrendering to the result.
So it's dynamic. It's not a state you reach and then just sit there.
It's incredibly dynamic. If you stay stuck on self, you become isolated, a bit narcissistic. If you stay stuck on other, you lose yourself and become codependent. Stability isn't landing on one or the other. It's the flow between them. It's the motion itself.
And since we're releasing this on February 14th, we have to talk about how this applies to love. But I want to be clear. This isn't just a romance episode.
Not at all. The research is clear. This is a framework for everything. Parenting, dealing with a difficult boss, financial stress.
Right? Because the biggest thing that stops us from this flow, this shifting of weight, is usually our own brain. We're trying to categorize everything.
We want life to sit still so we can figure it out.
Which brings us to this brilliant piece in the stack from G.K. Chesterton. He draws this line between the poet and the logician.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of us, myself included, want to be the logician in our relationships. We want it to make sense. We want the rules.
Not the spreadsheet version of love. If I do X, I should get Y. Chesterton, says the poet, he tries to get his head into the heavens. He's expanding into the mystery.
Okay.
But the logician tries to get the heavens into his head.
And what's the punchline?
And it is his head that splits.
Oof, yeah. That's such a visceral image, trying to cram the universe into your skull.
But it's perfect, right? You cannot cram the infinite complexity of another human being into a logical box. It doesn't fit.
So when we try to solve our partners, we just become rigid.
We stop shifting weight and we start building walls. The poet is the one who accepts the mystery. The research argues our capacity for life only expands when we stop trying to contain it.
There's a great line from Elizabeth David in the notes that kind of simplifies this.
Oh, yeah, I love this one.
She says, there are people who take the heart out of you, and there are people who put it back.
And everyone listening can immediately picture someone for each of those categories.
Instantly. You know who drains you and who refills you.
But the uncomfortable part is that the sources hold up a mirror and say, you are also one of those people to others. And it depends entirely on your motion.
So, who did this best? I mean, when we talk about shifting weight and keeping cool under pressure, I go straight to the Stoics.
Sure.
But I always thought of the Stoics as the rock people. Stone-faced, no emotion, Spock from Star Trek.
And that's the biggest myth about Stoicism, that it's about suppressing emotion or being a robot.
Right.
It's not. I mean, if you actually read Marcus Aurelius, he said the goal was to be free of passion, but full of love.
Free of passion, but full of love. We got to define passion there because today that word is a good thing.
Right. In the ancient context, passion meant like pathology. It meant those destructive hijacking emotions, anger, jealousy, panic.
The knee-jerk reaction.
Exactly. The Stoics wanted to eliminate the hijack, but they didn't want to leave a vacuum. They wanted to fill that space with love, with connection.
And the sources actually detail the final moments of these guys, and it really proves this point.
Yeah, they weren't dying alone on a mountaintop.
Not at all. Look at Marcus Aurelius. He's the emperor of Rome. On his deathbed, he doesn't call for his generals or his accountants.
What does he do?
He surrounds himself with guardians to make sure his kids would be safe. His final shift of weight was toward his family.
And Seneca. He was forced to commit suicide by a tyrant. A horrible situation.
Horrible.
And he spends his final moments comforting his wife, Paulina. He's trying to ease her pain.
He shifted his weight away from his own tragedy. And then there's Cato.
Cato is the best. He hosted a dinner party.
He knew he was going to die, so he had friends over, poured some wine, talked philosophy.
The point is, these men replace the fear of death not with toughness, but with connection. That is the continuous shift. You feel the fear, and you shift your weight toward the people you love.
It sounds like the Dalai Lama is on the same page. The notes say that no matter what question people asked him, he had the same answer.
Every single time. People would ask about the cosmos or transcendence or whatever, and he'd bring it all back to a mother's love.
Really?
Yeah. He'd use the example of an animal mother caring for her baby as the ultimate anchor of reality. He basically said, stop looking at the stars for answers and look at how a mother looks at her child.
That's the gravity that holds the world together. Which brings us to a modern example that's, well, it's a little less highbrow than a Roman emperor. We have a story about the comedian Christina Pisitsky.
Yes. This is from a clip where she's describing breaking her ankle. She had to go under anesthesia, and they gave her a heavy dose of ketamine.
And for anyone who doesn't know, ketamine can be a trip.
A major trip. And she had a bad one. She was convinced she was dying. She thought, this is it. And in that moment, she had this massive revelation.
She realized she didn't care about her career.
Right. She wasn't thinking about her Netflix specials or ticket sales or social media. She said her world got real narrow real quick.
My children and my husband. My children and my husband. That was it. Just a loop in her head.
And it's such a powerful phrase. Get narrow. We spend so much of our lives wide, right? Worried about politics, the economy, 1,000 things that might happen.
The research here is basically asking, why do we wait for a crisis or a dose of ketamine to get narrow?
Exactly. We can choose to get narrow on a Tuesday afternoon. We can shift our weight toward what actually matters now before the emergency.
It's focus through elimination. You stop balancing on the foot that cares about public opinion, and you shift all your weight to the foot that cares about your people.
And this connects perfectly to something Adam Grant said about what it means to actually support someone.
Oh, this is his take on toxic positivity, right? The good vibes only crowd.
Yeah. Grant says people in pain don't need you to tell them to cheer up. That just denies their reality.
Being a logician about their pain.
Exactly. He says they need a hand to stay steady through all the vibrations.
Steady through the vibrations. That brings us right back to the dance metaphor. We stand so others can move. We move so others can stand.
It's reciprocal, and there's nowhere this dance is harder. I mean, the degree of difficulty just goes through the roof.
Than in parenting.
Yeah.
Specifically, co-parenting or complicated family dynamics.
Yeah, the outline calls this the hard shift.
And there's a quote here that I think this is going to be really triggering for some people, but we need to unpack it.
It's a tough one.
It says, you must love who your kids love. That's how they'll know that they are loved.
It's an incredibly tough pill to swallow. I mean, if you're divorced and your ex-partner was, let's say, toxic or they betrayed you.
And now you're being told you have to love them. My logical brain just screams, absolutely not, they don't deserve it.
And your logical brain might be right for you. But we're not trying to be logicians here. We're trying to create stability for the child.
So the love here doesn't mean you have to be best friends.
Not at all. It means you have to extend a form of respect and care because that person is half of your child. If you reject the other parent, you're telling the child that half of them is bad.
Which creates so much instability for the kid.
Exactly. They feel like they have to stand on one foot. This is where Osho comes in with this idea of the lion's roar.
I love this image because usually when you think of loving everyone, you think of being soft, a doormat.
Osho flips that completely.
Right.
He says the reason we don't love authentically, the reason we hold grudges, is often because we're afraid of the crowd, afraid of what our friends or family will say.
Oh, you're being too soft on him, or she doesn't deserve your kindness.
We're afraid of looking weak. Osho says the moment you don't care about the crowd's opinion, you're no longer a sheep. You're a lion.
The roar of freedom.
It's the freedom to love someone you aren't supposed to, just because you decided it's the right thing to do for your family.
So being a lion isn't about attacking. It's about having the strength to love, even when it's personally painful.
That is the ultimate stability. David Brooks and Howard W. Hunter say the same thing. The best thing a father can do for his children is love their mother, and vice versa.
And this applies to everyone. Blended families, poly families, whatever. It's not about the structure. It's about the motion of respect between the adults.
Correct. You are the floor. If the floor is shaking because the parents are at war, the kids can't dance, they spend all their energy just trying not to fall.
Okay, I'm sold on the philosophy. Be a lion, get narrow, shift your weight. But I want to talk about the how.
The practical side.
Yeah. Because when the stress hits, when the toddler is screaming, I revert to angry caveman pretty fast. How do we train for this?
It's a skill. It's like a muscle. And Josh Waitzkin, who is a chess prodigy and a Tai Chi world champion, has a fantastic method for this. He calls it training for turbulence.
Okay, so where do you start? In the chaos.
No, you drown. You start in bliss. You learn to find that sense of stability when things are quiet and easy. Maybe it's meditation, a quiet walk. You just anchor that feeling.
Okay, step 1. Find the calm.
Step 2. Introduce distraction. You try to meditate with the TV on. You practice maintaining that bliss state while the environment gets annoying.
You teach your nervous system that noise doesn't mean danger.
Exactly. And step 3 is physical discomfort. Holding a yoga pose until your legs shake, a cold plunge, whatever, and you watch your mind try to panic.
You're just watching the reaction.
And you're reframing it. He calls it the "it's so good" game.
Mm-hmm.
When the discomfort hits, instead of tensing up, you say to yourself, it's so good that I get to practice this right now.
That is intense.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good that I'm stuck in traffic because I get to practice patience.
It sounds cheesy, I know, but it rewires your brain. You start seeing the stress as resistance training. So when the real emotional wind hits, you don't fall over. You just shift weight.
Yeah. Speaking of wind, there's a strategy in the notes called the low bar strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And since it's Valentine's Day, when this comes out, a day of high expectations, this feels crucial.
The low bar is about sustainability. The source note says, the wind will bring dust. That's a guarantee.
It is.
You can complain about the dust, or you can rejoice that the wind cleared the sky. And rejoice that we, ourselves, come from dust.
So, applied to a relationship.
You accept that today will not be perfect. Your partner might be tired. The restaurant might mess up. You set the bar at.
Mm-hmm.
We're simply going to show up for each other.
You lower the threshold for success so you can actually queer it.
Exactly. If you aim for perfection, you will always be disappointed. That creates tension. And here's a counterbalance. You don't stay there. St. Jerome reminds us, good, better, best, never let it rest.
So we start low to get in the game, but we aim for mastery.
Mastery is the continuous motion. We don't settle for mediocrity, but we don't demand perfection immediately. Confucius said, I do, and I understand.
You can't just listen to this and be fixed.
No. You have to physically and emotionally do the shift. You have to bite your tongue when you want to snap. That's the doing.
And it all relies on belief, doesn't it? There's a Henry Ford quote in the stack.
Whether you think you can or think you can't, either way you are right. It sounds like a cliche poster, but it's true for resilience.
Control the controllables.
Attitude and effort. That's it. Everything else is just the scenery. The dust.
So to wrap this up, what's the immediate takeaway for a listener after all this, from ancient Rome to ketamine trips?
The takeaway is that the time is now. The Stoics were obsessed with the present moment. Now, now, now.
Don't wait until you're on your deathbed like the emperor.
Don't wait until the divorce is final to start showing respect.
Tell the crush, quit the job, fix the relationship.
Or just hold space. There's a beautiful line in the sources, someone writing to their partner, Amiruka por vida, my girl for life, it's a declaration. But sometimes stability is just holding a hand while the other person cries.
Love isn't a static feeling.
It's the motion that creates stability for the other person.
That's it. Stability isn't standing still. It's moving smoothly,
Releasing tension.
emerging uniform and strong.
That is always the answer.
Thanks for shifting your weight with us today. Give it a try. See what happens when you stop being a rock and start being the water. We'll see you in the next deep dive.